So, welcome to those of you that are just joining us. We are doing the Kitsap Great Give 2019 Giving Day Marketing 101 workshop. So, if you have come to this workshop before, you probably heard some of this information before. We're going to have a few new things to talk about. And if you are going to be joining us later and you're seeing this as a recording, this will be hosted on YouTube after we're done. And you have questions, feel free to call us at any time. And also, I did neglect to mention in the first workshop, but it is on our website. This year, we do have open office hours every Tuesday from 11 a.m. to 2 p.m. If you have any questions and you just want somebody to sit down and pop open a computer screen and talk to you and help you through something, just stop on by. And if Tuesdays don't work for you, give us a call and we'll set up an appointment. And I'll have contact information at the end of the workshop. Here's our sponsors that we have so far. If you haven't, if you weren't able to join us for the beginning or the opening workshop that we did at 11 a.m., we're going to get more in. There's more coming in all the time. And Kohl's, we're making him work for his money, getting us our sponsors. So be sure that you thank these sponsors and that you put up their logos on your various, social media channels and webpage when the time comes. So today's training, most importantly, I want to emphasize that the Kitsap Great Give is supposed to be fun. It's supposed to be fun for you. It's supposed to be fun for the donors and a way to pull the community together. So while we can get really serious with the planning and training and marketing, don't take it too much to heart. It is supposed to be a fun tool in your fundraising toolbox. So today, if you're new or inexperienced at using social media for fundraising, you can get some helpful tips and tricks here. But this is not a social media one-on-one, a comprehensive way to use it, or a social media boot camp. If you need extra help, again, please come in during the open office hours, and I can help you get started on social media. And I'll talk you through a couple of tools that we're offering on our website in just a minute. If you just don't have confidence, you're just a little bit nervous and you want a little bit more help, then this training is also for you. It's not the only way to do things. It is not more than just the tip of the marketing iceberg. So this is not a comprehensive list or anything, and it's certainly not a guarantee for success. If you implement a plan but don't really look at your target audience, it's not going to work very well. So take what I say in today's training and pull out what works for you and what applies to your nonprofit, because everybody's going to be in a slightly different situation. We're going to talk about planning, social media strategy, some gamifying strategies, matching and challenges, and also a little bit about telling your story. So one of the most important things you can do is get ready right now. Don't wait until March 23rd to start planning what you're going to do. Start planning now. So I want to talk a little bit about hard advertising versus soft advertising. Hard advertising is straight out saying, hey, give us money, go to kitsapgreatgive.org and get your donation in, get it done right now. A soft advertising includes, you mentioned, hey, we're super excited, we just registered for the Kitsap Great Give. Putting out maybe a monthly or quarterly newsletter saying, hey, once again, we're going to be participating, check our website for more details. That kind of thing, mentioning it, getting ready for it, but not doing hard asks. Now, the reason that we specify the difference between hard advertising versus soft advertising is that we ask that you do not start doing hard advertising until March 23rd. So don't wait until March 22nd to plan it. Plan now. Set your goals, create your roles, assign your volunteers, and create a budget if necessary, or if possible in some cases. And the reason that we don't start advertising until March 23rd is what we call donor fatigue. Now, if you've ever attended a workshop by someone that is maybe an expert in your annual ask or something like that, you will hear them say there's no such thing as donor fatigue. If you're talking about one nonprofit reaching out to their donors, their favorite donors, you're right. There may not be such a thing as donor fatigue, or you may have to work really hard to get there. But we're not talking about an annual ask. We're talking about a giving day. So that means it's not just you that's sending out one email a week, but it's over 300 other nonprofits in our community sending out one email a week, or mailers and flyers, plus the advertising campaign that the Community Foundation mounts to support the Kitsap Great Give. So with a giving day, donor fatigue is a very real thing, and you want to be careful that you do not subject your donors to that. So wait until March 23rd to start planning. And how do you start planning? Well, we provide a few tools for you. I'm going to go right now. I'm going to switch my screen right now and take you to, where's my little guy? There he is. I'm going to take you to our website so you can see exactly where to get what you need. So there's about a 10-second delay, so I'm just going to hang on 1 second and give you guys the tour here. So in order to get marketing tools that you need, you don't want to go to the kitsapgreatgive.org site. You want to go here. This is the Kitsap Community Foundation's website. So right up here in the menu bar, you can see, or not menu bar, but the search bar, it's kitsapfoundation.org. Go to the top menu to Kitsap Great Give, and in the drop down, click Nonprofits. And that is going to take you to this page. As you can see, you've got your sponsors, the giant button to register here, all your important dates. Those important dates are going to show you when everything opens and closes, and when mailers come out, and everything that you need to know to be on time for your Kitsap Great Give deadlines. As you scroll down more, you will start to see videos, including registration tutorial if you haven't yet registered, new site orientation if you forget how to use the new site, or you forgot where to click for a certain thing. You can go back and review that new site orientation. You can also see under where it says to train, you see the puppies and kittens, those will be replaced by these videos later today, these workshops. But you see here a Facebook tutorial. If you don't know how to use Facebook for nonprofits, and you don't know how to schedule your posts, and you're not sure how to like and share and what that means, and how to even set up a page, watch that tutorial. Every year I tag nonprofits to try and help raise visibility. If you have a group instead of a page for your nonprofit, I cannot tag you. So be sure that you check that out. You can see also your archived e-blasts. So every time I send out an e-blast, I take a link to it and put it up so that if you miss an e-blast, if for whatever reason you cannot manage to get it out of your junk folder, then go ahead and come here and you can just click those links and open up and read the e-blasts. Here's everything you need to prepare. These images that you just saw on the slide, your top 10 ways to prepare, to promote all your promotional materials, such as your logo suite, posters, postcard flyers, table tents, yard signs, anything you could imagine that will help you prepare. So those are tools we provide. Also down there in that link list, you're going to see your workbook and your guidebook, which will have all kinds of lists and fill in the blanks that can help you plan and assign roles. They look like that. So be sure to download your workbook and your guidebook. Okay, so getting into the main marketing part of it. Something not to forget is to include a clear call to action in every single communication. If you are going through and saying, oh, we have this project and we're joining the Kitsap Great Give to try and support this project. That's so great, isn't it? Yes, it is, but it's probably not going to help you get as much of a reaction as if you say, look, click this button right here to help us meet our goal, and they can go to your profile page and start donating. You want to start your active promotion on March 23rd. So that's from March 23rd to April 23rd. That's the hard asks that I was talking about earlier. And in your workbook, you will have a detailed calendar that you can make plans in, and it'll walk you through what to do. You also have a separate checklist starting at 8 weeks out that you can check off and do everything that you need to do to get started with your marketing. 2 weeks prior, you're really going to want to amp up your social media promos and really, really engage your networks. If you are a 1-person or 2-person show and you're already kind of at your maximum for what you can do, if all you can do is focus on the 2 weeks prior, that's okay. That's one of the most important time periods. There's a list, there's a couple of graphics on the page that I just showed you on our website that has your tools, and they are the top 10 marketing tips. If all you can do is those 10 things, that's good. That's still fine. That's still going to get you some attention. There's top 10 Facebook and top 10 tweeting tips. So check out those top 10 things if you feel overwhelmed and you can't do everything, can't perform all these options that we're talking about in this workshop. Don't forget a specific plan for the giving day. Planning ahead to do what you need to do is great for all the stuff leading up to the day, but don't forget that you're going to want to share regular posts. It can be hourly or some other interval, and share posts for the foundation if you run out of posts. Your general marketing schedule. One important thing is to keep your branding consistent. So if you decide, you know what, we always use this color green and I really hate this color green, so let's change it for the Great Give. Well, that may make you happy because you don't like that green, but it's not going to help your donors recognize you. You want to keep everything consistent. So while you do want to incorporate the Great Give logo and the Great Give colors and of course the name, you want to make sure that this is about you, and don't try to change what you don't like about your branding at this point. You want to keep it recognizable. Between now and March 23rd, before the hard ask, the hard advertising starts, some things that you can do are have conversations with your donors. Tell them what you're doing. Tell them the goals that you're thinking about setting with your board. You can get the Kitsap Great Give logo up, and that's available for download right now on the page, the toolkit page that I showed you. And you can put that on your website. You can put that in newsletters. You can start creating newsletters, draft email texts in your workbooks. There are samples you can use. Start putting that stuff together now. Maybe do a search to identify different social media posts and articles that you might like to share. So what I would recommend about new communication channels is don't create them unless you know it will benefit you. If the bulk of your donors are not on Twitter, don't freak out trying to learn Twitter. So after you are, well, and not, even though you want a call to action in every communication, not every communication needs to be an ask. You could say, instead of having your call to action be donate now, it could also say, share this with everyone you know. Click our website to find out more. So don't underestimate the power of the find out more button. So on your marketing schedule, once the hard marketing starts between March 23rd and April 23rd, you want to really leverage your network, the people you know at your church, the people you know at work, the people you know through your kids or grandkids' schools. Leverage the network of your donors, your staff, your board, where it's appropriate. I know some nonprofits, their staff are not allowed to fundraise. So, of course, keep it within what's correct for your particular organization. You can start to mention your supporters and your donors by linking to their different profiles on different social media pages. Start conversations online about the Great Give. Maybe you want to take a poll about people want to place bets on how much you're going to earn, things like that. Make it fun. Reach out personally to your donors. Never underestimate the power of a personal email. And if you are at a loss for your promotional activities, then share other people's. Say, hey, look, this nonprofit does work that supports our work, and look at what they're doing for the Great Give. Isn't that exciting? You're still going to be generating buzz, even though you're not necessarily sharing something about yourself. Now, if you have multiple social media channels, one tool that it is a good time to just try out before the Great Give starts is Hootsuite. Hootsuite is a tool that will allow you to make multiple posts across social media platforms. So that means if you have a Twitter, a Facebook, and a LinkedIn account, and you're trying to keep up with them all, you can enter them all on Hootsuite and make one post and craft it so that it fits across every single social media channel. So if you've never heard of Hootsuite or what it is, I would try one of their free accounts out and just see if that works for you and test that out now. It could be a big help on the day of, especially if you're one person trying to manage multiple accounts. 1 to 2 weeks ahead, you really want to ramp things up. You want to coordinate your communications. So make sure that if you have your board members out saying what your goal is and other things and engaging people, make sure they're saying the same thing you're saying. And make sure that if you want to make an announcement for an event, it goes out across all platforms that you are using. You want to send your reminder e-blasts, update your homepage, make sure all your stuff is in order. Oh, darn it, here's another one. So I have a hard time. We used to have pre-scheduled giving, and this year we don't have pre-scheduled giving. We have early giving. So I missed that pre-scheduled word, but early giving starts April 9th. And you can tell people to get in there and start giving as early as April 9th. So on the big day, share your hourly posts on event progress on social media. If you don't have something to say every hour, I will be posting on the Kitsap Community Foundation page at least once an hour and making announcements about the golden ticket prize winners and what's going on in the community. So you can share our posts if you don't have anything else to say or you just don't have time. You can share your thanks and drop names on social media, but if you choose to do that, make sure it's okay with the donor first. You can use urgency to encourage giving. For instance, we just need 3 more gifts to reach 100 supporters, or if we get $200 more, then we'll be halfway to our goal this hour and get people more engaged. You can use live video. Really, the key to getting views on Facebook nowadays is live video. It has to be video feed. That's going to really bump up your viewership. Mix visuals and text posts, just plain long text. If your text is too long, to use one of the little picture backgrounds on a day like a giving day where people are being slammed with lots of communications, you may want to drop the text down on your post. You can promote your own contests, our contests, opportunities for prizes, things like that. As far as general marketing goes, in addition to making your schedule, you really need to find your audience. And in fact, sometimes you might want to do that before. Find your audience before you make your schedule. So before you launch your campaign, you're going to want to figure out who are you targeting. You want your current donors? Do you want partners, lapsed donors? That sounds, I always look for a different word than lapsed, but I could say former donors, soon to be again donors, something besides lapsed, but there we have it. And know your demographics, know your audience. So for instance, if most of your audience happens to be on social media on Saturday afternoons, then schedule your posts to go out on Saturday afternoons. But not everybody's audience is going to be the same. So be sure you check your social media, your Facebook Insights and your Twitter analytics to know when the people you're targeting are actually going to be listening. And also make sure that if your target audience is not a female from age 40 to 60, they may not be using Facebook as frequently as other people. So make sure you know who your audience is and which social media platform they're using. We're going to talk more about that in a minute. Make sure your page looks nice. And when I say make sure your page looks nice, I mean your own website, but also your profile page, because a lot of people are going to be driven straight to your profile page on the kitsapgreatgive.org website. So check your social media links. You need to include an HTTPS in your address for Facebook or it will not work. Go to your profile page. Actually go to the page and look at it. After you log out, look at it like a donor will see it and click all the links and make sure they work. And make sure that your Twitter link is linking to your public Twitter account. Check the hero image is the giant image that splashes across your profile page. Make sure that that is the correct dimensions. There's a sizing requirement next to where you upload the image. Pay attention to that sizing requirement because if you don't, then you're going to have the image all stretched and cut off and at weird proportions. And check your image quality. If you're just taking like a 2 kilobyte image and loading it up, it's going to look like it's pixelated. It's going to look grainy. Really, it needs to be about 1 megabyte or it's going to appear grainy. If it's larger than 5 megabytes, it will probably slow things down when loading your profile page. So check your quality, check your image dimensions, make sure all your links work, copy edit your work, actually look at your page. Make sure that you really want your title to be indented halfway across the page and that you know that you don't have any breaks between your paragraph. And when you're registering, check your mailing address. Do not put in your physical address, put in your mailing address. This is where your money goes. If you put in your physical address, but you do not receive mail at your physical address, you will not receive your check from the Kitsap Great Give. So put in your mailing address. Another thing that you want to keep in mind is the amount of text that you put on your profile page. So 12-point Times New Roman font, double-spaced with moderate margins, is about 1 page of text at 250 words. So if you're typing in 250 words into your description, you're asking your donor to read a full page of, average point, average font that's double-spaced. If you're putting in 500 words, you're asking your donor to read 2 pages of text. So you need to think about the atmosphere of a giving day and really how much are you asking your donor to read and how much good is it doing you. So I recommend really trying to keep it at 250 to 300 words. If you're going over that, you're not doing yourself any favors. So just something to keep in mind for your profile page. So a well-rounded approach. Don't forget, it's not just about social media. You've got your website, you've got your email, and in-person contact. Social media is really important, and I spend a lot of time on it. But every year, when we get our surveys back at the end of the Great Give, the #1 way people hear about the Kitsap Great Give is person-to-person contact. So don't forget about that. And decide what's best for your organization. So do you already have a Twitter channel? Do you want one? If the answers are no, then don't do any Twitter. What are your donors using? Maybe you have a Twitter channel, but all your donors happen to be on Facebook. Maybe it's time to not put so much effort into Twitter and switch to Facebook. So see what's happening in your own already existing networks and make adjustments accordingly to best use the tools that you already have available to you before you stress yourself out learning something new. And be sure to tell your clients about the Kitsap Great Give. You might be surprised at how much word the clients you serve can get out to the community and say, hey, this organization helps me. You can support them in the Great Give. So don't forget that. Having said all that about in-person contact, why social media matters. Some of you that have attended these workshops have probably seen these figures before. I promise I'm not that lazy. It's just that the Pew Research Center doesn't update it that often. I expect them to have a new report out at the end of this year. But as you can see, pretty much everybody's on social media. And most of those people are on Facebook, then followed by Instagram, Pinterest, and LinkedIn. The numbers for these, actually, if you're looking at other reports that are, I consider Pew Research to kind of be, the gold standard. But according to other reports, these numbers have not changed. Facebook is still king. And here's just another way of looking at that. And you want to know how your donors prefer to be engaged. If your average donor is between 40 and 60, you're probably going to find them on Facebook. If they're a little bit younger, maybe overlapping into the 40s, there's a lot going on Instagram. And remember, people go on Instagram to be inspired, on Facebook to discuss, and on Twitter to argue. So think about that before you get involved. And we're going to talk a little bit more about that in a minute. So how to get started. First of all, if you don't have an account and you want to do social media, set it up now. Don't wait until the week beforehand. Use our online tutorials that we have up that I just showed you earlier. If we don't have a tutorial, there will be one on YouTube. If you can't find one on YouTube, you can email me. I'm positive I can send you one. There's pretty much a tutorial on how to do anything. Start building your audience now. Don't wait until the marketing blitz to start building your audience. Seek out your content now. And we'll talk about that in a second. There's tools that you can use to seek out Facebook content. And decide how often you're going to post now and assign a responsible person. Also have realistic expectations. If you're just now starting out, the odds of you getting the bulk of your money from social media posts are pretty slim. And if you're tasking an admin person who's already overloaded to manage your Facebook, you may not have great luck with that. So starting with the king of the crop, the head of the pack, Facebook, what are some basic tips that you can use? When in doubt, share. If you can't think of anything to say, you don't know if what you're saying is appropriate, that's okay. You can share our posts. You can share articles and blog posts from related professional organizations, news articles about the cause that you are working for and supporting. And remember, this is a long-term tool for your nonprofit. So if one of your goals is to use social media or to engage more with your audience through social media, it's not going to be a one-and-done marketing blitz. So announce things besides the Great Give as well. That's still going to build your audience. It's still going to drive interest in your organization. So announce upcoming events. Share events of nonprofits that work with similar clients as you. Share your success stories, obviously, with legal allowance and respect to privacy. Start building interest in your ongoing activities, not just the Great Give. Use a schedule. I have a sample. It's very simple. So it's not a complicated spreadsheet, just a very simple. What is your pre-scheduled post? You can use both. Facebook offers a pre-scheduled post tool. And again, look at our tutorial if you forgot how to pre-schedule a post, and assign a responsible party. Always use your own existing network and leverage that to build the network that you already have. And now I'm going to talk a little bit about the dreaded algorithm and what happens to the like. Does the like even matter anymore on Facebook? And it kind of does. Getting likes on your page does matter a little bit because it does give you what's called points with Facebook, or credibility, where the more responsive you are and the more likes you have, the further your reach will go. But really what's now is conversation. It's whether or not people are commenting on your posts. And this algorithm change happened about 2 years ago, but people are still feeling the impact of that. And there's still some confusion about why people's posts aren't getting to the audience that it used to reach anymore. And the fact is, conversation must happen. You need to ask your social media ambassadors to comment on your posts. So if you're asking your board to help you with Facebook, randomly posting a bunch of stuff on there is not helping you. Commenting on carefully selected posts will be far more profitable for you, far more effective for you. So if you don't want other people to be in control of that, or just a few people that you trust to be in control of that, pick out some really good posts and ask your ambassadors to comment and share. Posts that create conversation are the ones that are given priority and put into more people's news feeds. Videos will get into feeds more readily. And the reason that this algorithm changed was because it's supposed to help people reconnect and cut down on just the ads where people can pay others to like them, to like their posts. So they really want conversation. Of course, change is frustrating. And if you have worked to build a broad-based communications network, so you've got email, you've got newsletters, you've got good in-person contacts with your donors, and both print and email newsletters, you'll be fine. Your strategies that you use will be fine. One of the things that is going to be most important is that you tell a story that will get your donors involved. It doesn't have to be a lengthy story, but just a brief story that relates the work that you do in your nonprofit to their life. We'll talk about that in a little bit. So on your social media posts, ask for advice. Say, what do you guys think? Here's what we're doing. What do you guys recommend? Invite people to comment. Again, do a live broadcast. I mentioned that earlier. Share news that you know people will want to talk about, like, hey, look at what this city just did to help work on homelessness. What do you guys think about that? Start those conversations and use other media to refer to. People really need to share these posts on their personal pages. So if your board members are sharing, or you're sharing on maybe multiple nonprofits that you work with, share it on your personal page. Ask the board members to share it on their personal pages. That is going to get you far more traffic generated than simply sharing it to other pages of other nonprofits. So Twitter. If you haven't heard by now what Twitter is, yes, it is a microblogging site. It is still the fastest growing social media platform in the world. And should you use Twitter, one important thing to remember is Twitter is still set up mostly for a mobile device. Are you already on it? Are you comfortable with real-time information? And most importantly, the two big things I would say before you decide to go into Twitter is, does your demographic of donor use it? Do you want to break into a new demographic that uses it? And is gaining more public awareness one of your goals? And can you handle trolls? There is no other social network that has trolls quite like Twitter does. It is brutal. And if you don't want to manage the trolls, stay off of Twitter. Some people can leverage nasty comments to simply get more views. But if you work in a nonprofit that does something controversial to other people, immigrants, LGBTQ plus community, and you think that there may be trolls, be sure that you can handle them before you break out onto Twitter if you're not already there and experienced at that. BuzzSumo is still, I've said this before, but I find them still to be a good key influencer on what posts are happening and who you can like and follow. Always reciprocal following is recommended on Twitter, and they did change the rules on how many people you can follow. And so you don't have the problem you used to have where people will just drop off of your list because there used to be a required ratio from followers to following. Be sure to favorite and retweet people's tweets, and they simplified that as well, so you don't have to worry so much about putting in all the at tags or at handles and so forth. Some examples of what you can do: spread other tweets, see if local celebrities support your cause and get them to retweet. Retweet our tweets for the Community Foundation and the Great Give, because we have 2 accounts, one for each. We only have 1 Facebook though. So sponsors, we always do, leading up to the event, a lot of tweets thanking our sponsors. Be sure to share those and retweet those. That's very important to thank them, because without them, we would have no bonus pool. Words of caution: be aware that Twitter takes a lot of attention. So you're going to need to assign a responsible person, and you're going to need to really schedule your tweets. The only way you can schedule your tweets ahead of time, like scheduling a Facebook post, is to use Hootsuite or a similar program. You can't pre-schedule on Twitter. You can only do it through Hootsuite. But maintaining a conversation means responding to your followers. And if you want to look at a good example of how to use Twitter, don't look at us. The Community Foundation really uses Twitter more as a broadcast tool to our nonprofits. It's not something that our donor demographic uses heavily, and so we don't develop that channel with our donors. So that's an example of one way to hold back from using Twitter. So we mainly direct our tweets at other nonprofits. And according to Brandwatch, and this, I think this has actually increased. I haven't been able to find the new figure with Brandwatch, but other sources have reported that even higher than 72% of consumers who complain about products want a response in 1 hour. If they're on Twitter, they want you to be on Twitter right now. So if that is not something you have time to do, or a volunteer that you trust to have time to do it, then you need to keep that in mind when you decide how much energy you're going to put into using Twitter. It does typically cover a younger demographic, and you need to have realistic expectations about what it's going to bring you. And you need to understand if you're a content curator or a creator. So are you more of a retweeter who's telling what's out there, or are you making your own tweets? And decide how you're going to manage it once you know that. Segmenting your email marketing list is important. And when you say marketing, a lot of people kind of pull back like, what? No, we're a nonprofit. We don't sell stuff. But you are really promoting yourself. And make sure that you segment your list. You may want certain emails to go to major donors, certain emails to go to a midsection of donors, certain emails to go to volunteers. You may be having different things that you're asking them to do for your organization for this event. And this is good practice in general. And you may ask, before we get into this, is anyone still emailing? Yes, definitely. A lot of people still read email newsletters, especially if it is related to something they feel very strongly about, or it is related to their work. So know your demographics. I highly recommend an email program. And I'll talk a little bit about that in a second. You need to understand your metrics, and you can find out about that in an email program. So you need to understand, when you send out emails, how many of them are getting open, which ones are bouncing back. And know the difference between an e-newsletter versus an e-blast. An e-newsletter is longer. It has multiple topics that it's covering. An e-blast is a short, simple, visually appealing email that gives a single message. I recommend for the Kitsap Great Give to focus on e-blasts. While you may want to include them in a newsletter, you really want to give out short, brief, digestible bits of information in an e-blast. And so what do you need to do to make it work? Well, the design has to be readable. Make sure you've segmented your contacts and they're correct. Take care of those bounces now, and have really good content. One way to make sure that you are meeting all your requirements for email for spam, because there is the Can Spam Act where you do have to be careful. When you are sending out something asking for money, you don't want to be marked as spam. So I will put out an email, my e-blast to you guys with the rules about how to make sure that your emails are coming through loud and clear and that the content is not flagged as spam. And you also need to have a way for people to opt out of receiving your emails. You could use you could use MailChimp, you could use iContact, you could use Constant Contact. Those email marketing programs are ones that will keep you on the right track and scan your content for spam. And if you need some help walking through some of those programs, I would encourage you to come to our open office hours and see me. One of the main things that you're going to need to know, for not just for can spam, but also just in general for your marketing, put some thought into your subject line. The subject line needs to agree with the content, and that is the one thing that makes people open the email. Try not to have more than, I think, 32 characters, or it's going to get truncated on iPhones. Have the right balance of fun and urgency. The world's not going to blow up if somebody doesn't donate to you. Well, hopefully anyway. And your donor probably knows that. So keep it short, keep it sweet. Don't forget to include the call to action and be really specific about information that you want them to pass on. Say, share this Facebook post, share this website, share our profile page, and give them a button to share it with. Make it easy for them. And including those things is quite straightforward and very simple when using one of the email programs, marketing email programs that I talked about before. You can just pop the button right in, type in the URL, and you're set to go. So I highly recommend doing that. One of the things that's going to make people connect with you more than anything else is storytelling. So you can have the best designed e-blast and the most wonderful profile page and the prettiest pictures, but if the story that you're telling doesn't reach out and grab people's heartstrings, they're probably not going to engage with you very much. And there are tons of workshops that are given every year around the Puget Sound around storytelling, and storytelling specifically for nonprofits, and it goes into how the brain works when they're hearing stories. But people will respond to stories, not to statistics. They use statistics to justify their actions, but they use stories to compel their actions. So your audience is going to listen more actively and participate in any social media conversation if a story is involved. It's going to set the stage for you to tell your audience how they can be part of the story, and it empowers them. A recent study that someone just forwarded to me stated that people who tend to donate large amounts of money donate it because it makes them feel powerful, that they can change things, not because they necessarily want to help so much, but because they feel like they can make a difference. So allow your audience to be part of the story, and you can do that in a number of ways, and be creative with how you engage your audience on social media. You can look for stories to share from your clients. Make sure that you're not violating, you're not committing any HIPAA violations, and that you are respecting your client's privacy. And if you need to get forms signed, get them signed. But you can ask your clients to share their stories, volunteers, your donors, your staff, your board. Get them to tell the stories of why they support your nonprofit, what made them want to work for you, what made them want to be on the board, how does your work inspire them in their daily life. Get your donors to tell why they decided to become a donor. And that's a very powerful story to tell, actually, is to get the donor to tell others why they support you. So if you have a hard time getting stories out of staff and board members and donors, here's some questions that you can ask. So clients, people you serve, what challenges in their life did they come to the organization with? How did they feel? Were they scared? Were they relieved? Were they happy, or all of the above? What services did your organization provide them? What was the one thing you did that helped them most? What was the ultimate outcome? And one of the most powerful questions that a client can answer is, if you could tell a donor how they helped you, what would you say? Or if there were one thing you wanted the whole world to know about you, what would it be? And ask your clients to tell those stories. For donors, I mentioned some of these questions earlier. How did you find out? How did you want to give? And here's one that people are surprisingly eager to talk about, what do you hope to achieve by supporting us? If you give us your money, what do you want to happen with it? What do you wish the world knew about you, about our organization? And how have you helped make the world better? People love to tell things like that about themselves. Um, so be sure to ask that of your donors and get them to tell how being a donor has improved and changed their life, because often donating can lead you down paths you did not expect. So your volunteers and your board, again, how did you get involved? What do you do? Ask the volunteers to tell the public what they do, and why do you stick around? Because sometimes it's a lot of work to be a board member, and to be a volunteer, and often all you get is thank you cards, because that's all people can afford. So tell them, have your volunteers and board say why is it so important to them to be involved with your organization? What do they wish people knew about you? Similar questions with staff. Why do they do nonprofit work anyway? There's more work, there's less help, and there's definitely less pay. So how does that, why do they stick around? What connection do they have with your cause? How do they see the impact of the organization in the community? Your staff members are often going to have some of the most compelling stories about how of the impact about your nonprofit's impact in the community, because they're the boots on the ground that see what you do on a daily basis. Your staff is going to have a great and clear vision of the future of the organization, and they're going to have their own whole list of things that they want the world to know about your organization. And some of it that can be quite emotional and quite compelling, because people do nonprofit work. Well, none of us earn it for the money. Let's just put it that way. So be sure to get stories from your staff. And once you have information, what kind of stories are you going to tell? What can you utilize on your profile page, on your web page, on your social media outlets? And this is not just for the Giving Day, but just in general with storytelling, because remember that the Great Give is just a tool, and you want to use this to build and further your presence in the community and your communications with donors. So there's different types of stories you can tell. You can tell your founding story. How did the whole nonprofit begin? What was the original community challenge? How did that lead the nonprofit, and how did it lead you? So there's a couple of there's a founding story of the nonprofit, and you can tie in your story as the communicator about that. The next type of story is the focus story. How does your work impact clients? Who is your community that of clients that you're focusing on? How has your focus as a nonprofit changed and expanded over time? And usually the focus story can lead into your strength story. How do you meet the needs of your community in a way that other people don't? So, how do you meet the needs in your community that the government doesn't meet, that corporations don't meet? What's unique about the way that you have helped clients? And of course, there's a story about how things went wrong. So, things go wrong all the time. Nothing is ever perfect. And every organization has faced challenges. So that can be a powerful story, the overcoming setback story. What happened? What did you do? What did you learn? How did you change? What actions are you taking? So don't be afraid to say, hey, there's a story where things didn't go perfectly, and tell that story to people. There's also your future story. And this can be a story that it comes from your staff. Where are you going? How can donors help you get there? And that's very important as a way to engage the donor in the story. How does your vision line up with the community's needs, with the donor's vision? The impact story. How do you make a difference in client size? And impact stories can come from the clients as well. How do you impact a larger community? How can your impact translate to donor impact? So here's some different tips. Make sure your stories are relevant not only to your Giving Day, but they generally also need to explain about you. They need to say who you are and what you're doing. So I just gave you a whole list of different types of stories that you can tell, and different types of questions you can ask, and that's a lot of information. So say you do this work, say you are really organized and have a giant spreadsheet and you've got all these story things in there, and I have one actually. I recommend it. But how do you pull this all together? Well, while collecting all these stories for general marketing is a great thing to do, and I highly recommend it, you are wanting to focus on a giving day. So you need to pick a common theme. While all of those stories I listed are stories you can tell, they're not all stories that you have to tell right away at the same time. So pick the story that relates to your goal for the giving day. Once you pick that story and get it crafted, find out what medium you're going to use. Do your donors like to be engaged through email, or more through social media, or more through snail mail, maybe? So craft the story to fit into those mediums, because you're not going to have a super long video. Would be the best medium to tell a story on Facebook, hands down. But of course, a narrative is going to be written and presented a different way. Narratives that are sent on print can be longer than narratives sent on screen. So get the story crafted. Find other news stories, political situations, community news stories that relate to your cause and to the story you're telling, and then plan to share those posts about news stories and political situations and whatever that support you. And find a story, or a way to tell your story, or a way to allow for interaction with your story that would make your supporters proud to say they helped you. So which of these stories that I listed will bring you the best return on investment for your giving day? It's great to collect them, but you don't have to use them all at once. Again, be creative with your presentation. A great thing you can do is, if you're wanting to tell a client story, is to do a day in the life of story to get to bring that happy ending for your donors, or do a day in the life of story, stop it, and then say, okay, donors, how do we make this story have a happy ending? You write the ending. And that's a really powerful way that you can tell a story and engage a donor. And then be sure to follow up with them and say, okay, this is how, this is our ending. This is what you did. You wrote this, donors. Thank you. So that's a powerful tool. Graphically speaking, pictures matter. So those little whiteboard, doodle pictures and animation apps that you can use, I highly recommend them if you have the ability and bandwidth to use and learn them. People retain 10% of the information that they read, but 65% of the information that they read that is paired with a picture. Even if they don't like the picture, they will still remember more with a picture. Facebook posts with photos get twice as much engagement. Tweets with pictures get 150% more engagement. Articles with images, every 75 to 100 words, get double the shares. So quick little online gifts that people tend to give, like, oh my gosh, that puppy, it's hurting so bad. Okay, quick PayPal donation. Those are emotionally driven, because people emotionally react to images. They tend to logically react to words, but emotionally to images. And remember, we talked about earlier that people, they use words and stats to justify their actions. They use stories and pictures to actually to make the action. So another trick you can use is to use photos and graphics to draw attention to your call to action. So don't just put, oh, there's a little share button at the bottom. You can put like a funny little flashing arrow and use some humor and draw attention to your call to action. If you do not have Adobe Creative Suite, are not about to learn film editing, and the thought of a desktop publishing program makes you nauseous, that is okay. I understand that feeling. And there are free and or very low cost image editors. And my two absolute favorite are Canva and PictoChart. And they're not just image editors. They provide you a massive catalog of quality stock images from all over the net. There are poster layouts and little newsletter layouts and even big report layouts and all kinds of things that if you You want it to look nice, but you just don't have either the money, the software, the ability to get into a desktop publishing program. Use those tools. And Canva and Piktochart, they each have a low-cost nonprofit plan, and Piktochart has a free plan as well. So check that out. Don't forget the basics. While it's fun to talk about all this in-depth story gathering, and it's really great to get you going for the long term, both on your giving day and your general marketing efforts, stay focused on the goal that you set up when you first pulled out your workbook and filled out all the lines and the timelines and everything. Stay focused on your goal and your mission for not only, yes, your mission obviously for your nonprofit, but the mission for the Kitsap Great Give. Keep it consistent. It's easy to get sidetracked when you've got a ton of different things going. You think, oh, wouldn't this be nice? It may be nice, but just because it's nice to do and you want to try it doesn't mean now's the time. Always keep your target audience in mind and the emotion that you want to evoke. Do you want people to look at your organization and donate through tears? Do you want them to donate through laughter? Or do you just want them to say, you know what, this is awesome, I'm going to do this? So be careful about what you put out there and consider that. And stay consistent. I mentioned this earlier. Use your existing branding, your existing colors, your existing fonts, the schemes that you normally use to communicate. If you do not have, it's called a style sheet, where you have, this is our logo, these are our 3 main colors we use, these are our, this is the suite of fonts that we use. If you don't have that, I recommend making one and sticking to it so that everything that you have comes out looking very consistent and your donors know, oh, that's from this organization, and it's not always always different and confusing. Don't forget your logo and the Kitsap Great Give logo. When I upload posters, there'll be versions that are just Kitsap Great Give. For those of you that either don't have a good image of a logo or don't want your logo on there for whatever reason, just don't have the ability to incorporate it, you can just use the plain Kitsap Great Give posters. But there's also one where it's a PDF and you can add a picture to the PDF and put your picture in there and drop it wherever you want to and print that out. Have a catalog of images that you use that are you consistently use those pictures. And we have a catalog, and I kind of update it every year. I take a few old ones out and put a few new ones in, but there's always some consistency to the types of image that we're using, and that helps people to identify your nonprofit. Don't be afraid to have high standards. Don't be afraid to look at something you did last year and go, oh, let's fix that, let's redo that. It's okay. Change is good. And don't get too serious about it, and don't be too hard on yourself. At the end of the day, no one will die if you put the wrong picture or make a typo. It's okay. It'll all be good. So don't be too hard on yourself. But do get creative with the way that you talk, the way that you promote the Kitsap Great Give, and specifically get creative with how you interact with people. I can't remember if I think I mentioned this in the other workshop as well as earlier in this one. The #1 way that people find out about the Kitsap Great Give is humans. They talk to somebody during a game that their kid was playing, or at school, or at work. So talk to people, connect with people. So messaging apps. Nowadays, the text to give trend is very high. If you support Planned Parenthood, they are real go-getters at the text to give game. So you can get involved with texting your donors or just your friends and texting them and saying, hey, I'm involved with this organization. They're participating in the Kitsap Great Give. Get creative with the way that you interact. You can use a peer-to-peer options to have fundraising competition. And I had forgotten to take that out of our previous workshop where the slide had said that we offered that. Now, in our old platform, we had this peer-to-peer giving option that was a little bit cumbersome. I had this ridiculously long tutorial that I kept trying to shorten, that I couldn't get short enough to use because it was so complicated. And that was like a 20-minute tutorial on peer-to-peer giving. So we decided to scrap that. And we do not have that kind of cumbersome, back-end peer-to-peer giving. And we found that generally that type of giving where it's planned out and there's a big competition only works well. If you're having this carry on for 6 weeks, and we're not doing that. It's a two-week early giving and then the main giving day, and then that's the end of it. So when you use a peer-to-peer option, the ideal way to do that is in a small group where, for instance, you're bored and you say, hey, we're going to have a competition and see how many board members make the most phone calls or how many board members make the most donations. And you can tell the people that you call that when they donate, they can type in the board member's name as to who the donation's in honor of, and then we'll know. So there's fun things and challenges that you can do internally. You can use gifts, use the IRS rules, and check your e-blasts. And I will include an e-blast that states what the IRS rules for giving gifts are. And if you miss an e-blast or for whatever reason your email really, really, really hates the e-blasts and it will not stop putting them in junk. Oddly enough, my own email does this. So if I email myself, I have to go get it out of my junk folder to check it. I don't know why it does that, but it does. You can go onto the Kitsap Community Foundation website and where I showed you earlier and click the archive e-blasts and get those IRS rules. You can have social media challenges. Which of your volunteers or board members can put up a post that gets the most likes. You can get your board to create matching gifts, or a clever way you can get new donors is to say for every new donor gift, you've never donated before. I see a comment here from Mark. Where do they type that in a remarks field? Yes, it will be in a remarks field on the donation form. I think that either I or Momentous, the platform, we're going to be creating another little tutorial about giving once the registration has closed, and I'll put that up on the webpage as well so you can see that. So yes, that's another way that the donor can, or that the board can engage, is that they'll match all the new donor donations if one of your goals is to get new donors. So what do? It's not all about you. We do some stuff too. So we provide you guys with a lot of tools I just talked about. Sample media posts, e-blast templates, a calendar checklist, video tutorials, guidebooks, etc. You can call us at any time. At the bottom of my email, you can see my cell phone. Feel free to call it. I won't always answer it if it's after hours, but I will see it and I will get back to you. You call our main number anytime. Chantal is happy to get the calls in the right to the right person, and certainly come into the open office hours. We put posters on all the Washington state ferries. We put ads in all the local newspapers. We put ads in local magazines. We have a 1.5 hour TV special where we interview nonprofits. We have local TV commercials generously provided by Mattress Ranch. We will do commercials and promo spots on BCAT for the month prior to the event. We do a full insert and sound publishing where every single participating nonprofit has their name, their web address, and a 10-word description of their nonprofit. We do a similar A&E insert in the Sun, full-page ads in the Sun, aggressive Facebook and Twitter campaigns, 80,000 person county-wide mailings, and there's much more that I do. I put in postcard flyers, posters, just a lot of stuff. So we really try to blanket the county in advertising. We do some mentor boards and things like that. So we're working on it for you, trying to get the word out so you're not alone. And some of the other tools that we provide, hashtags and handles. I'm waiting for a second. My delay, my delay is getting more. It was 10 seconds. Now I'm noticing it's 15 seconds. Okay, there you go. Hashtags and handles. So you can follow us, our Twitter handles there. We have 2 Twitter pages, one for the Great Give and one for the Kitsap Community Foundation. You can follow either one of those. And then there's Give Local 2019. Hashtags, like and follow us on Facebook. One thing about Facebook I'd like to point out here that if I did not earlier, you You don't want people just to like your page anymore. You want them to follow it, because if they like it and you're doing, even unless you're doing this world's super most fantastical awesome job of putting everything up there exactly the way that it should be and getting in news feeds, they're probably not going to get your information unless they also follow your page. KCNE, so that is the Kitsap Center for Nonprofit Excellence. And it can help you out by giving you workshops that are specifically tailored to Kitsap nonprofits at very reasonable costs. Our full day workshop is coming up on, that'll come back in just a minute because my other, yeah, sorry about that. So the full day workshop on Plan Giving is coming up on Friday, March 29th. So you can go to kcnestrong.org and read all about what that is. We're unveiling our Leave 10 for Kitsap campaign. It is a full day workshop on Plan Giving. Breakfast, lunch, and treats are provided. This year it will be at Harrison in Silverdale, so a little bit more central location. You don't have to drive all the way to Paulsbo. So we're trying out something new this year. So be sure to go to the KCNE page, and registration is open now for that workshop. So you can get in there and register if you're interested, or buy a membership. If you buy an individual or an organizational membership, you will save money by being able to send as many people as you want to the workshops. The full day workshop there, we do ask for a little bit of a fee for lunch for extra people for the organizational membership. But the costs overall are very reasonable for what you get. So be sure to check that out. I should mention, of course, the Olympic College Foundation and the United Way are our partners in this endeavor. And we are very grateful to them for their support with this organization. So now, what do you need to do next between now and March 23rd? Well, the first thing that you need to do is register. If you don't register, none of this matters. And registration does end on February 28th. And so if you call us up on March 3rd and say, how do I get involved? We'll say, bookmark our website and check it back again next year. Get on our newsletter list so that we can get you in next year, but we're not probably going to be able to get you in this year. All those newspaper ads that I just talked about, we do have to have all your information to send it to them well ahead of press time. So February 28th is the drop dead date for registration. Once you're registered, be sure to update your profile. And remember what we talked about, making sure that your profile has the right hero image dimensions. Make sure your logo is a good quality one, not fuzzy. Make sure that you limit how much words you put on. Definitely get a video up there. If you have a video, we have a very nice new option for video up there now. Start your basic outline of a plan, get your basic materials, engage your board and staff, and get all set up from March 23rd. That's your next step. Also, be sure that you're on the mailing list for the Kitsap Great Give. If your email or somebody in your organization is not the person that registered, but yet you still want them to be on the mailing list, in your Great Give profile, you can add another email. And if you want more than one other person, you can always let us know and we'll put them on the Great Give emailing list. After registration closes, the only people that will get the e-blast will be those specifically signed up for the Great Give list. So be sure to do that. If you have any questions, you can email greatgive@kitsapfoundation.org, and the right person will get your email in a very timely fashion, and we will answer you. If you know you have a question that's about marketing or pictures or text or what to do with posters or something, go ahead and you can email me directly, and that's fine. That's our main number that's up there on the screen. Give us a call if the Tuesday open office hours do not work for you, and I will be later today as I post these videos on our website and take down the registration links for these workshops. I will put up there our open hours and I'll give them a prominent place on the page, but they are every Tuesday from 11 a.m. to 2 p.m. Please stop by, and if those hours don't work, give us a call and we'll find some way to get you some help So that's all I have for today. If you want to share these presentations with your staff members or board members or volunteers, I will put them up again on our website so you can see them. Thank you very much for joining me, and good luck in the Kitsap Great Give. Okay, Claire, yes, Claire, I see your response. Hang on a minute, Shane is helping someone, so let me get to my page here. So the names of the marketing programs are Eye Contact, which is the cheapest, but that's what I use, and I'm looking forward to possibly changing to MailChimp, and Constant Contact. Those are the three that I have the most familiarity with and that I would recommend looking at. There are quite a few other programs that if you just want to Google email marketing or bulk email or mass email, things like that, you'll come up with a list of like e-magazine has the top 10 email programs, and you can find reviews and stuff. But I would check out those three. And if you run into problems and you have a question, especially with eye contact, because I'm very, very familiar with that one, I'm happy to help anybody out during open office hours or if you want to make an appointment. Okay, guys, I am going to sign off. Again, please feel free to call me or stop by in open office hours if you have any other questions. Thanks.